Hi everyone, I'm Marnix, and here at Bite Me Games, I'm a bit of the guy who does everything. The official term for that, if we were a real company, would be producer. And what that means is that I touch basically upon every aspect of making our own game, Forge Industry, resource management and automation game. In this video, I just wanted to quickly cover 5 topics or 5 pitfalls that I've seen that I've made or that people in the team have made or that other people I've talked with in the games industry have made. And I want to share them with you so you can figure out how you can avoid making those mistakes as well. So stick around. So let's begin with a big one. Probably every aspiring game developer has at least had one or more of their projects killed by this pitfall, mainly having too big of a scope. Or maybe they don't think that they start with too big of a scope, but then suddenly they're 7 years down the road and they still only have about 50% of what they envisioned their game to be finished. There's nothing worse than working on a game and then having this great idea with a big scope on it and oh, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be open world, fantasy, RPG, storyline driven, and you're a solo indie developer, and yeah, maybe there's like 1 or 2 games that actually manage to do it, but as I said before, they probably take 7 years to make, and even then, there usually are quite a lot of sacrifices that have to be made in terms of the original scope versus how the game is actually released. So my general suggestion there is do as I say, not as I do. Start with a very small scope of your game. Even if you think it's too small, you can never have too small of a scope because it will always just keep on expanding. We started Forge Industry thinking that, hey, we could make this game in a weekend. Here we are almost 1 year later now, and we're still nowhere near finishing yet. The second pitfall that you often see, especially if you're working with more than one person on a project, is a lack of vision, or not really a lack of vision, but a lack of an aligned vision. So maybe you're working with 4 other people or 3 other people like we are. Sometimes you get these challenges because how you envisioned the game is maybe not how someone else envisioned the game. So let's say you're working on a specific feature and then you push it to master, and then suddenly one of the other people working on the project is like, well, actually, this is totally not what I envisioned. And then, of course, this is always a really annoying conversation to have because you just spend a lot of effort on it, and the other person thinks that, hey, he doesn't really care about like my vision. So how you can solve this one relatively easily is by having a well-defined vision document, or better known as a game design document. We've already once made a video on it long ago when we first started this channel. However, stay tuned, and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, because we're planning on making a more concise and more updated version of that video as well, giving you some new tips and tricks. Now, you've got your vision, you've got your scope, it's really small, everyone knows what they want to do, but that's where the third pitfall usually comes in, which is a lack of technical skills often. Maybe there's a feature that you simply didn't expect would be this hard to implement, or maybe you switched to a new engine and there's a bit of struggle that you have there. Or maybe it's not even just programming, it can be something like music. Maybe you don't really know how to make a good soundtrack or art or any of those things. All of those are technical challenges that will hamper finishing your actual game. I think in this regard, you need to be optimistic. There is a lot of stuff you can learn just on your own if you have enough time. Look at how we started. We only knew how to program with very little like actual engine experience, yet we're making a full game now. Nobody knew how to do 3D modeling, how to do the 2D art. We're getting around that. Next up is also music for us, which will be a pitfall maybe, that will take some time. So believe in yourself that you can do more than you may think right now when you're planning your next game, but also know that you should always keep in check that, hey, do we actually have the skills for this, or should we just look at someone on Fiverr, for example, to outsource some of our work, or find that one friend who has a guitar and who can probably make a really awesome like guitar solo that you can use in your game. And then the fourth pitfall is simply a lack of resources. You may immediately be thinking about, oh, we don't have enough money, we go broke, we can't feed ourselves anymore, and our game will never be released. But it's not just money, it's also time and people. Of course, they're partially influenced by money, but no amount of money can, if you look at a game, for example, like Cyberpunk, no amount of money can basically release that game on time without bugs. So there will always be a balance of, okay, how many resources do I actually have to put into this game? How many people can I have working on it? How much do they work on it? And figuring out how to use everyone in a correct way to get the optimal efficiency out of them. Not having enough of these resources, and especially if you're working with a release timeline, which really limits the amount of time resources you have, can really cause setbacks in how your original vision of the game was, how you maybe even marketed or pitched it, versus how does the actual game look. And then the last pitfall that a lot of developers fall for is, or not really fall for, is how they underestimate just how cutthroat it can actually be to publish your own game, especially on a platform like Steam, for example, or mobile, anywhere. You're competing with hundreds of other developers every day almost who are also uploading their own games, and you somehow need to stand out between all of them. And if you're just a small indie developer who doesn't have a big marketing budget, well, good luck with that. That's why we also have these guidelines, such as if you don't have 10,000 wish lists on Steam, don't even bother with putting it on Steam, because in general your game will not really reach the audience that you're aiming for. So to summarize, it's having too big of a scope, having a lack of vision, just a lack of technical skills as well, so either art, programming, whatever, having simply not enough resources such as money, time, or just people working on the project, and then lastly, finding a way to successfully market and bring your game to your customers. Did I miss any pitfalls that you personally encountered? I would love to hear more about them. You can always leave a comment down below and we will definitely respond to that one. If you're new here, hi, we're a team of 4 indie developers making our own resource automation and management game called Forge Industry. You can wishlist us on Steam right now if you want to. And if you're new here, we also make content like this, where we share our journey in making our own game, and we also cover some of the lessons we've learned, such as here with our pitfalls, and we share them with you, the audience, on YouTube. If that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe. So yeah, that's all I have to say now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.